Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? How are you? How are you? Minister Dagny Barton here from New Life in Christ Church. And also, I have the incomparable Carol Daniel with us on today as well. She can introduce herself, but we are excited to be here. Carol, what are we talking about today? And introduce
So
yourself.
we're going to talk about your young people, if there are young people watching, you applying for and getting scholarships from New Life, and how best to do that. And I think there will also be, because we've known each other for 20 years, but we have not practiced this. So I
Yeah, we
am
just gonna go
certain,
off the cuff. It's gonna be fine.
yeah. So I am certain that we will be talking about your life and your next steps, and how best to live your life going forward, your new life as a college student. So we're going to talk about this scholarship application process for sure.
Yes. Awesome. And so the information that we're sharing, yes, is specific to our scholarships that we have here at New Life. Our website is thisismynewlife.com. And if you click on resources at the top, one of the resources in the drop down is the 2024 scholarship. The deadline to apply for any of these 8 scholarships is March 14th. So Carol and I were talking about wanting to get this information out to our kids so that you know what to do to apply, not only for this scholarship, but there's money out there in many places. And
Right.
this workshop is meant to just empower you to be more effective with the application, with the essay, and with the interview, which is usually the 3 things that you have to be proficient in order
Mhm.
to compete in any scholarship field. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to share a PowerPoint here and get into just some super quick. If you have questions, you can throw those in the chat, and we're excited to have you guys on with us today. So parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, cousins, if you know those that are graduating in the class of 2024, please share this information with parents of seniors or the seniors themselves. We wanted to have this readily available so that you could use it for your own purposes. Our scholarship program are for Metro East seniors, those that are within a 5-mile radius of our church. So those would be those Metro East 5 to 10 miles of our church. So that would be those high schools that are on the Metro East side, the Belleville schools, Collinsville. You know who they are. You know who you are. And but this information, as I said, will benefit anyone who's applying in this season. Okay. So
Okay.
first of all,
I hope too, Dagny, that people will, who are watching this, or after you share this, because we're live. This
mhm,
is called StreamYard, but we're live on Facebook. That I certainly hope there are those who, maybe it's a neighbor that you have, and you talk to your
yes,
neighbors and find out, hey, is your son or daughter applying for a scholarship? And should they say no, encourage them to do so.
yes, absolutely. So some scholarship dues, some things that you need to do to find the money. So you want to get friendly with your own neighborhood. Take a look around and find out what the best scholarship opportunities are right there in your neighborhood. Local businesses, civic organizations, city governments, service organizations, even politicians have their own scholarships and offer for students during this time. If I were you, I would get on top of that right now. Our scholarship deadline typically is at the end of February. So we're a little bit behind this year and making our deadline the 14th of March. However, you really want to get on it if you're looking to get awarded for this scholarship season. So that's the first thing. Look around your neighborhood. Another do is to choose quality over quantity. Unless you plan to make applying for scholarships your full-time occupation, then you'll want to prioritize which scholarships to apply for. In other words, like all 8 of our scholarships, each one of them have a different focus. So there's a different type of kid that can qualify for a particular scholarship. If you know that you've gone through some things and you've had to persevere, and a scholarship is about perseverance, which one of ours is, then that's the perfect one to apply for, because your life has aligned you with the goal for that scholarship. So again, it's not just about apply, but make sure you are being strategic and intentional about which ones you choose and which ones fit you. Okay.
And when you say full-time occupation, she is not kidding.
It
Applying
is.
for scholarships is a labor-intensive process, and we didn't apply for many, my 2 sons, but the ones that each one took a great deal of time.
Yes.
And so that's why prioritizing is so important. And that's why knowing your neighborhood is so important, because if you love pets, then stay in that vein. If you know your child is a leader and they've been in lots of organizations and they always seem to be in leadership positions, stay in that vein and look for those things. So that's why it's so important to prioritize, because I know people who made it a full-time occupation.
Yes.
But not everybody has that kind of time. So prioritize.
Yes. And also look in your interests. So if you are culinary, or if you play an instrument or sing or have some other talent, obviously athletic scholarships are available, but there are many others in other types of fields. All right. Next, understand the purpose of the scholarship. Every scholarship has a reason for its existence, and it's designed to encourage students to enter a specific career field. So that's another piece. You want to make sure that if you are applying for a teacher type scholarship and you don't plan to be a teacher, then that will probably be a waste of your time. And in the interview process, that would be weeded out, because if a teaching organization or a teachers union is offering the scholarship, then that's going to knock you off if that's not in your plans. So make sure you look at that. Next, I cannot stress this enough. Follow the directions. From the first game of Simon Says, you learn how to follow directions, right? And so if you do nothing else, our scholarship application is about 6 pages, and it's pretty detailed, but we have a checklist. And it baffles me when we get the scholarships in, and the parent, nobody did the checklist. If you just do the checklist, you know that you have everything in there. You got your transcript in there, you've got your letters of recommendations, because you did the checklist, and because you followed the directions. Some scholarships, when you miss one of those things, like we have grace. So if you send in your application to New Life because this is a church, and God forbid if you didn't put your letters of recommendation in there, that we just throw it in the trash, we would never do that. However, you would need to have gotten here by the 13th so that you can have that grace period of us to be able to call you and say, you didn't have those letters of recommendations in here, little Johnny. And so you need to get those up here before the deadline. But if you just follow the directions, that will help you. Because again, they're looking for people who have demonstrated that they should win the scholarship. And the first area of demonstration is that you can at least follow directions, right?
You'd be surprised. I do recall many years ago, when our education committee first began at New Life, that we had to call a parent or two, because I think it was 3 at the time, might still be 3 letters of recommendation, and there was 1, or there were 2, but there were not 3. And they got it in before the deadline, and we made that call. You realize that there are only 2 letters of recommendation in here. Do you plan to submit a 3rd? Now, truth be told, every scholarship committee is not going to do that.
No.
So if you might, I remember talking to a colleague, and they got a stack of applications, and they went through the stack and they cut. I mean, they didn't call anyone. They just cut. If you didn't have everything on that list,
yes, you
were just cut out altogether. And you may never find out why. Right. And it was because you did not complete the application process. So follow. It does sound simple, but follow directions.
So easy. The other thing is get feedback from editors. You can't write a strong scholarship essay in a vacuum, and editors are the best people to help. So those of you that are in high school, you have English teachers. I know you do, because you have to take English every year. I know that any of them would be happy to review your essay before sending it in, because that is a huge piece. There have been people who the essay is the thing, the points on the essay is the thing that took them over the top in points. And so I can't stress that enough, to make sure that you edit, read your essay. Okay. That's like your first conversation that you're having with them, because we see that before we see you.
And it says so much about you. It says so much about you that your name, address, and GPA do not say. So the essay is where your character, your thought process, that's where that shines. And we say editor. Minister Dagny said English teacher. I had a social studies teacher who would have been a great editor had I sent anything to her, but I didn't. But there are other educators in your high school who you can ask to read your essay.
Yes.
So if we say English teacher, that may not be the one for you.
Right.
But if you have a teacher who you've had a lot of conversations with, the one who stops you all the time and tells you to pull up your pants, that's the teacher to read your stuff.
That's the one.
That's the
Dr.
one.
Tara. Okay, next. Proofread. No matter how strong of an applicant you are, it would be difficult for a scholarship judge to overlook misspelled words or grammatical errors. You know, we have some wordsmith essay readers on our scholarship team, and typically the people who read the scholarship essays are those who are they have a critical ear and eye for those types of things. So they're looking for a great story. So Carol, I know you've read plenty of copy over your lifetime. And so what gives you the most heartburn? I know for me, if I'm in church and I look up on that screen and it's and we are just want to praise you, and praise is PRIASE. I cannot praise him. I will stop. I will drop my hands and go to the back and change the screen, because I cannot even get through the song.
Totally distracted. And I did not. Dagny said I would introduce myself, Minister Dagny, and I did not do that. I had 40 years as a journalist, reporter, news anchor, talk show host. 10 years as a columnist. I won national awards for my column in the St. Louis American newspaper, and now I'm working in public broadcast in St. Louis with 9 PBS and hosting a podcast. So I am a journalist and I am a storyteller by trade. My mother would tell you that I was a storyteller from the minute I could talk, because I was always talking. But the story itself is so important. Your personal story. What I look for, a run-on sentence will drive me off a cliff. Please.
Where the sentence started at the top of the paragraph, because it really was a paragraph, and it does not go. Ooh, not even a comma. Help me, because I can't.
Commas are your friend, and so are periods. And one thought, just one thought in a sentence, just one. If you're using the word although, then there may be a contradicting statement that you want to add after that, and that is it. Run-on sentences get me. Spell check is your friend.
Yes, it is.
But spell check will get
Word will underline it in red. If it does that,
check it.
Check it.
Check it. Check it. Check it. Check it. And if you use a Microsoft, generally it also has it will alert you to run-on sentences and to grammar issues. Yes. And so I run-on sentences just drive me. Misspellings drive me. And here's what we know is that because so many of our children have spent their lives on social media, they don't know how to carry on a conversation, and then B, don't know how to write. They don't know how to tell a story. Right. And they don't know how to ask a question, because they've spent so much time on social media and teachers are overwhelmed and may or may not be getting these lessons through. So that is going to show up in an essay. So yes, and I know there's AI. I know it exists, but let me tell you, this just happened to me, Minister. AI is popping up on Facebook now. So when you write a post, underneath that, it will, you can click on AI and it can rewrite your post for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I clicked on AI one time because I had never seen it before. I wondered what it would say. The truth of the matter, I wonder how it would rewrite what I wrote. The truth of the matter is what I wrote was more me and was better than what AI wrote. It didn't even sound like my voice.
Exactly.
So be careful, and please, you wouldn't be truthful with the committee, the scholarship committee, if AI writes your essay. You would not be truthful. You did not write that essay. You didn't write it.
Exactly.
And once we are interviewing you, and we
bringing up the essay,
we bringing up the essay, and your speaking voice, your expression in front of us sounds nothing like this essay. We're going to be able to tell that you did not write that essay.
So don't do that.
Just don't do it.
Right.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Absolutely. So the next thing on the scholarship dues is to practice for interviews. Now, Carol's going to get into some very specifics on interviews, but some scholarships require an interview, and the best way to stand out in this forum is to practice. Ask a friend or a parent to do a mock interview with you to prepare for the real thing. So always practice and prepare for an interview. Don't just show up and think, I'll just wing it, because that doesn't always work. And so you want to be prepared.
Please be prepared.
Yes. Next, ask your parents, relatives, etc., those at your church that you know, for help. They can help you find scholarships, keep track of deadlines, and give you feedback on your applications and essays. Finally, brag a little about yourself. No one else is going to do it for you, so you'll need to let your best self shine through in your scholarship applications. Also, I don't know one scholarship interview I've ever been in where the question or something like this is not asked. Why should you win? Why do you deserve to win this scholarship? You must have an answer for that. That isn't braggadocious. That isn't, if you're going to represent that organization, that church, that business on the college campus that you go to, they want to know that you understand who you are and that you're getting these funds for a reason. So be prepared to answer that question. What do you think, Carol?
I want to add to that my parents are broke may be the truth. My parents need help may be the truth, but expand on that. And that is not the only reason that someone would give you a scholarship.
Yes.
The interview is serving a purpose. We want to know who you are, and we want to have an understanding about your character, because no one wants to give a scholarship in their name, their company's name, their relative's name, to someone whose character is questionable or shady or unknown. So this is a moment for you to dig in and get to know you, so that you can present the best you possible, the true you. Present the true you. And so having an answer to that question, you're going to have to think about that and talk to your mom and dad, talk to your grandmother. We're applying for this scholarship. Why are we applying for this scholarship? Because honestly, Minister, right? Parents find all kinds of scholarships, and then they bring them to the child and say, we're applying for this one. So we get it. She found it. Mama found it. You didn't find it. So get an answer. Well, why did you find this one? Why are we applying for this one? And you two have a conversation. You three have a conversation. And I dare say that nothing can ever go wrong when parent, caregiver, and child are talking.
Yes.
You just digging in and talking and asking, why do we do it this way? Right. So I do have an answer for that question. And my mom was broke is not the answer.
That's not the answer,
It
y'all.
might be the truth, but it is not the
It
answer.
might be the real reason, but that's
the
not
real
the answer
reason.
in that moment.
Not the answer.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone over some do's. Let's look at some don'ts. Number one, don't overlook your college financial aid office or guidance counselor. Cozy up to these two people to get the scoop on awards from your college or high school or for your local students. I always say, I knew about half the stuff that was happening at my high school because why? I volunteered in the office. Those people in that guidance office knew who I was. So when there was money to be had, I knew about it and I applied for it, and that works. And so get to know who your high school counselors are, and then have them reach out to the college that you're preparing to go to, because sometimes there's money that's in that school's name that they'll give to incoming freshmen. So you never know what you don't know. And then the second bullet here is don't ignore the internet. Fire up the computer and use free web-based scholarship searches. Link to financialaid.com scholarship search to find more scholarships. Carol?
I know you wrote the words cozy up, and that's a wonderful way to put it.
This was from I did feel like I was back in about a decade back on that.
Doing research. But you literally have to bug them.
Yes.
And they are going to have a lot of students coming at them.
Yes.
And they're going to have their plates full. And they should. That's their job.
This is their job.
You have to, they're like, come back in an hour. Go back in an hour. Come see me Wednesday after you get out of class. Go see them Wednesday when you get out of class.
Yes.
This is the time for you to be assertive. Again, we repeat, third time now. This is their job. This is their job. This is their job. And many of them, we hope, not all, but many of them love what they do. And they love to see your eyes open wide to the possibilities. So they're very willing to help and even go above and beyond when they see that light, when they see that excitement that you bring to the office. You want to go to school. You're trying to find out, what can I do? What do I need to do next? How can I get more help? They will go above and beyond when you show up with that kind of energy. So cozy up, yes. Bug them, definitely. Become assertive, most definitely.
Yes. All right. I did want to also bring this up about our scholarships in particular. One of our new memorial scholarships this year is in the name of Brother Gerald Washington, who passed. And he was a executive at HBCUs over his lifetime. And so that particular scholarship is for a graduating senior who is attending an HBCU. So I did want to highlight that because I really want to get the word out about some of the specific pieces with our particular scholarships. And that brings me to this next bullet, which is don't ignore small awards. You know, if a scholarship is just $500, you're like, oh, it don't even make sense for me to fill it out. Sure it does. Because it's money you won't have to spend. Every scholarship is not worth, thousands and thousands of dollars. Many of them are for $1,000 and less. And so, but that could be books that you don't have to buy. So you want to not ignore those small awards. Now, the smaller scholarships, they usually don't even require as much, but a one-page application. So don't ignore those small awards. Also, don't think that you have to be an academic or athletic superstar to win. There are scholarships that are needs-based, that are based on leadership, that are based on the arts, music, theater, cheerleading, public service, and more. So look at everything before discounting anything.
Agreed. And for those of us who have the college experience and remember back in the day how much a book was, it's 3 times as expensive now. One book.
It's ridiculous.
And you're not, and I know more schools, you're not necessarily buying the book, you're buying the online version of it, but it's still, some books are hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So when you get there, and if you have a car, your sophomore, junior year, you've got all kinds of expenses
That's right.
that all this money can cover, all kinds of expenses.
Yes.
And so many students get the scholarship, they've been accepted, and then realize I don't have sheets. There's so many things you need just to be set up.
Yes.
And this money can cover so many things that are unexpected expenses that if you're a first generation college student, you don't know anything about. So yes. $500 adds up. Apply for those, and they're not small. $500. How about you get a $500 ticket?
Okay.
It's a lot of money then.
That's right. That's right. So true. Next, don't be a victim of a scholarship scam. Never pay for a scholarship search. There's no such thing. If anybody is wanting you to pay them to find you a scholarship, they're going to just turn around and get your money and then Google the thing that you could have done in the first place. So don't fall for that. Next, don't use the shotgun approach. It can be tempting to send the same application and essay to every scholarship competition. Like you just wrote one essay and you think you're going to change the name at the top to go to every one that you apply for. Most essay questions are specific enough to make sure that you don't do that. So don't do that because that will just knock you out right from the start. Okay. The next one is don't forget to answer the question in your essay. Again, same thing, don't have this blanket essay that you just send out to all the scholarships. Answer the question that the essay asks, and so that you don't fall victim to that. Next, don't turn in an application that's incomplete. We already said follow the instructions. So if there's missing information, if it's not clear, if you're going to handwrite which most scholarships are handwritten, if it's a paper scholarship that you got, if you're going to handwrite it, then make sure you're super, super clear and neat in that presentation. Carol?
There are, I've seen scholarships that I could not read, applications that I could not read. And that's just not acceptable. And maybe you don't have a typewriter, but your school does.
Yes.
So, you can get that completed, maybe even, the online version, go to the library and get it completed that way. But if your handwriting, I have terrible handwriting. If you know your handwriting's bad, if you can't find anybody who's got good handwriting, you've got to find a typewriter at your school, to do it online at your school, even in the counselor's office at your school.
Yes.
They would probably let you do it that way if you don't have the resources at home. So don't let anything stop you. Find a way.
Find a way. And then finally, the final don't is don't think that it's impossible for you to win. Every student who's ever won a scholarship has possibly thought this. And guess what? They won, and so can you. But you cannot win if you do not apply.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about the essay. We're going to just get through these pretty quick. So, because we've said a lot of this already, follow the instructions, follow the directions in the essay, be concise and be clear. Sometimes we find that students jump around a lot in their essay, says Ryan. This is actual feedback from a scholarship committee. Whatever you do, try not to ramble. First of all, don't ramble because you only have so many words.
Right.
And so you don't want to just have a throwaway sentence. You want to have all of your sentence make the most sense. Next, make sure that the essay stands alone, but don't include every detail. In other words, if the story that you want to tell is pretty detailed, then you want to be able to craft that story in a way where we get the beginning, the middle, and the end without you having to add more words that that aren't necessary. And then plan that out. Remember that those tedious outlines for essays in high school English class, well, they were there for a reason. So when you do something and you know that what was the beginning, what's the meat of it in the middle, and how are we concluding this, you want to make sure that your essay follows that rule of thumb. Okay. Don't rush. The essay that you wrote this morning might not look as great as as great 2 days from now. Take a stab at a first draft, then set it aside for a day or a week, if whatever you can afford. Reviewing with fresh eyes will give you new insight into how it comes across. Make sure that you, again, read it and read it again, and don't rush through it. And your first draft is not the final draft ever. So go through that and polish it up. Have someone else read it. We talked about that. A teacher, a boss, a friend, to offer their feedback. Ask them, does it capture who you are, your journey, and does it make sense? Okay. Read it out loud. That also helps you to remember what you said in the essay. Because again, it's coming back around in that interview. You better believe it. And so, but when you read it out loud, you hear it as a story. You hear it as something that if you're interested in it, someone else may be interested in it. Okay. Don't send that essay off with any grammar or punctuation errors. We talked about that. Make it yours. Before you write a word, spend some time thinking about the question being asked. Brainstorm. Some scholarship applications may pose a very specific question, such as, please tell us about a significant experience that has had a big impact in your life. Other colleges may ask a more general question, like, what are your academic and personal goals? Whatever the question, make sure your answer is personal and not talking about the people at large. Well, I think that we should know, who are you? Let your essay tell that story. Okay, so Carol is going to get into some interview. Now, Carol, do you want these slides or?
They can leave that up. I'm going to add to that. I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
There's some do's and don'ts too that we will run through. But before the interview, let me ask, how nervous do you think you'll be?
Mm-hmm.
This may be something that you've never done before, and you may think there's so much at stake, and this is an important moment in your life, and feel all that, and then prepare. Feel all that, because it's natural to feel all that.
Yes.
But then let's just prepare, because you believe in yourself and you want this. You absolutely want this. All the people who love you want this for you.
Yes.
And so walk on that foundation, that you want this, you deserve this, believe in yourself, and talk yourself through this. That I can't believe I'm doing it. I'm so excited. I am so excited. I'm applying for my first college scholarship or my fourth college scholarship. Yes. I'm actually going to go to college. Start talking to yourself like that. Yes. It's going to help you build a level of confidence that we want to see.
Yes.
We do want, I mean, humility is great. Humility is, that's a wonderful characteristic to possess. And a person can be humble and be confident all at the same time. Both of those things are beautiful things to possess. We absolutely want to see your confidence. And your confidence is what's going to inform you that you actually deserve this. You believe that you can have this. You believe that you can go to college. And you believe that you deserve help going to college. And that showed up in your essay that we read. And it needs to show up in the interview as well. And I want to add, now this is what we're doing before the interview, you're getting ready. Think about who you are going to see. You are coming to New Life. You applied for a scholarship, one of the 8 at New Life. You realize we're a church, right? Know who you're talking to. If you're going into a corporate setting, you know that business.
Yes.
You know that they have a foundation. You know something about them. If you're going to the Illinois General Assembly, for instance, has scholarships. If you're going to sit before that committee, you know that this is about politics and policy. So you understand who you're talking to. Know your audience. Do the work before the interview. Know who you're talking to. Yes.
I will say this. We had an interview 2 years ago. Emma was the young lady's name, and she blew us away. Not only has she wasn't a member of the church, but the month leading up to her interview, she streamed our services every Sunday. and
Nice.
Wednesday. And she was able to tell us and pull on words that Bishop had used in a sermon that matched the scholarship she had applied for. Now, you know, she won that scholarship, right?
Well, now.
It blew us away because,
yeah.
And so it's just like, that's the type of thing that puts you over the top when you have prepared yourself for this interview. Go ahead, Carol.
All right, we can go to, before we go to the next slide, we're going to go into some do's and don'ts. But this is a moment of sacrifice in your life and your family's life. You're going to sacrifice time to find the scholarships, to study what the scholarship is about, to complete the application, to write the essay. You're going to sacrifice time. So normally you might be going to an event, you might be hanging out with your girls or your boys, but you cannot, because you've decided that you're going to apply for college scholarships. So this is a sacrifice of your time. And this is a worthy sacrifice of your time. So think in those terms, that I am about to sacrifice this time right now for the greater good of my life, for the greater good for my family, to make my parents proud, to make my grandmother, my grandfather proud. So be thinking, because it's going to get, it may feel overwhelming. It's a sacrifice. And every sacrifice is going to be beneficial for you when it's well placed and well thought out, and you know the intention behind the sacrifice. So we got the do's and the don'ts.
Yep.
And we'll fly through these because a lot of the things that we are saying, I think they apply to life.
Yes.
Right? They apply to life. Here's some do's for you. Arrive 15 minutes before your appointment with the scholarship committee. I'm going to skip to the third one. Maintain eye contact. I want to save that second one for last. Greet everyone with a firm handshake. I call it the fish handshake, Minister Dagny.
Okay.
It's that limp handshake.
Oh, I can't stand it. I mean, I feel like I can't
do it. Now, to the young men and young women out there, and to the parents and grandparents who are watching, I have engaged in a handshake with a man before, and I promise you, he tried to break my hand, and I did not understand what he was trying to prove to me.
My goodness.
So it's completely inappropriate. So if you are a young man or a young woman who has strength, we say firm. You are not trying to overpower someone, but give it a quick squeeze, firm, and then let go. And then let go. Okay. Please stop trying to break somebody's hand to show how powerful you are. This is not the time or the place. Actually, it's never the time or place.
Yes.
So I want to go back to number 2, dress appropriately, be neat, and be well groomed. If you've got purple hair, I'm good with that, but please comb your hair. I'm just going to get real. I hope that morning that you have brushed your teeth and you have showered and you have not, if you wear makeup, ladies or men, not too much. You're not going to a club. You're going to an interview. You're not trying to get a date. You're trying to get a scholarship. Okay. And the same applies to your clothes. Please let them be ironed. This may be the first time in your life that you send your stuff to the dry cleaners because you know you don't iron well. And that's okay.
Yes.
And that's okay. Please have your clothes ironed. Try to match. This is not the time to dress. Don't be revealing. A whole lot of jewelry is not necessary. Just be neat and appropriate for the moment, because this is not a club setting. This is not a date. This is not a photo shoot. So we do not need a ton of makeup and a ton of jewelry and nails that you can, from here to Dagny, from here, we don't need all of that.
Mm-mm.
Just be a natural beauty. Be a natural beauty. Listen to every question carefully.
Yes.
When I mentioned earlier that because of the time spent in social media, far too many young people don't know how to ask a question. That has also impacted your ability to listen, because we now have such a short attention span that we are not listening. Listen carefully to the question. And if you have a question about the question, ask. Ma'am, do you mean, sir, are you asking X, Y, and Z?
Good.
I'm not quite sure I understood the question. Can you repeat it or ask a question about it? That is quite all right. Don't be embarrassed. Don't look at us like we have three heads. Like, well, what do you mean by that? That's not the manner in which you want to explain that you are sort of confused by the question. Communicate, articulate, and articulate. If I wrote a word out for you that had 4 letters in it, some words, some letters are silent, and in other words, they are not. And so I'm going to need you to say to articulate the words. This is not a time to mumble. Ask your mama if you mumble. If you mumble, this is a time to speak clearly.
Correct.
Be mindful of your body language. Sit up. I want your backside. Your backside should be all the way to the back of the chair, because if you get on the edge of the chair, then you and here's me. This is me down in the chair, and I can see all of this chair. That's how I can see you slouching, but that's how you know you're slouching, because your butt's on the edge of the chair, and then you lean back. If you decide to sit on the edge of the chair, back straight the entire time. Plant your feet on the floor if you're going to sit on the edge of the chair. But I recommend against that. Sit all the way back in the chair and keep your back straight. No slouching. No slouching. None of the, we're not doing any kind of gangster lean. You know, the body language all matters. The rubbing of the beard, not the time. If you play in your hair a great deal, fold your hands together and put them in your lap.
Yes.
If you know, because that, for one, I will let you all know, that is a nervous tendency that people have. And we understand that it's a nervous tendency, but we don't want you to be nervous. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be confident. If you have that nervous tendency, before you walk in, breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out, and just calm yourself and center yourself. And when you sit down, put your hands together and hold them together. If you know that you play in your hair, if you talk with your hands a great deal, it can be distracting. It can be distracting. A little bit of that is okay. It's animated, it's energetic. A little bit of that is okay, but it can become distracting. I'm the sort that I may say, "Are you okay?" I feel like you're about to hit me. And if someone makes a joke about you and all of this, they're kind of saying, can you calm down a bit, get them hands together, or hold on to the chair. I have armrests on this chair. Put one hand on the armrest and the other hand on your thigh, or both hands on your thighs. If you are one of those people, if you get out of control with all of this, it can be distracting. And we talked about having a knowledge of the committee, of the organization, the corporation, the foundation, studying them. Come in with 2 or 3 or 4 points. I don't know how many other people would ever do what Emma did.
Right.
I don't know how many people. I've never heard of that. And that
me either. Don't be Emma, but be prepared.
Be something like Emma. Be something like Emma. Don't be. Oh, that's a don't. Okay. Come prepared. Have your own questions too. You're going to come with your own questions about the foundation, about the organization. And if you have studied the committee, you know that somebody on the committee was an educator. If I'm sitting in your interview, I'm 40 years as a journalist. How many things have I seen? I mean, those questions can be, I'd love to know more about your career. They can also be about the scholarship. You can ask for advice. I'm first generation college student. Or my father wanted me to go to XYZ school, but I'm going to this school. There's a little bit of tension. What advice do you have for me?
Good.
These questions can be personal. They can be academic. I'm nervous to go to this college. I'm nervous about it. What advice do you have for me? Mm-hmm. My older sister went and she told me all kinds of horror stories. And now I'm nervous. What kind of advice do you have for me? And then you can ask questions about the scholarship as well. And come in, you've made it to this point. You've made it to the interview. Everybody doesn't make it to the interview. They don't.
That is correct.
So you made it to the interview. So that should give you a level of confidence that enables you to come in feeling good about yourself and feeling good about your chances and feeling good about this moment in time in your life. So it ought to be easy then for you to smile and try to have an enjoyable moment with the committee.
That's good.
Please don't be late. Now, I will add an addendum to that because I struggle to be on time. I've struggled with that my entire life. My bus driver came to my high school graduation. My middle school and high school bus driver came to my graduation Agni, and she was like, "I waited for you every day of high school." I was running to that bus every day.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious.
For instance, if you have a part-time job, call the committee because there is a contact person and say, "I will be getting off work." Now, the best thing to do is to say to your job, "I'm applying for a scholarship. I have an interview at 3. Can I leave work at 2?" Because you need to get home and shower off the smell of French fries, right? Or the smell of pizza or what have you. Right. So talk to your job. I know money's an issue. I know you need to be making this, and it's a part of your scholarship plan as well, is to make money to pay for school. But again, we talked about sacrifice. Your boss, we pray they're a good boss, good supervisor. Let them know and tell them the moment you get the interview scheduled, email your supervisor. The moment you get the date and time for your interview, your scholarship interview, email your supervisor and say, "On Saturday, May the 9th, I have an interview. Can I leave work an hour early or 2 hours early? Or can I work Sunday instead?" Do not wait until the day before or the day of your interview to ask your boss, "Can you get off early?" Okay, don't wait until that day. Make those arrangements ahead of time. We talked about dressing appropriately, dressing inappropriately. We both have sons, and you have daughters-in-law, daughters now in your life, Dagny. But we know that it's hard out there to find appropriate clothing for your average high school senior. There's a lot of, I will say the word risque stuff out there. And I say risque, I'm 61, risque to me. But wearing something that is too short, wearing something, I wouldn't even wear a sleeveless anything. I'd find some sleeves or a shrug or blazer to go over what you're going to wear. A denim jacket's not appropriate for an interview. There are cute denim jackets out there in every color. It's not appropriate for an interview. It's too casual. That would be the thing. It's just too casual. Blue jeans are not appropriate for an interview. They are too casual. Rips in jeans, holes in jeans, stained clothing, none of that is appropriate for an interview. Trying to be sexy is not appropriate for in an interview of any kind, for your job interview or for your scholarship interview. Part-time job, full-time job, internship, it's not appropriate to try to be sexy. Please do not wear, I wouldn't wear any perfume at all, because the tendency might be to wear too much of it, and just don't run that risk. So you don't need to come in there smelling. I shouldn't know after you leave that you were here. I should know that. I should not know that. Okay. So my advice would be not to wear any perfume or cologne at all. You know, just run a deodorant. Most lotion smell. I can smell lotion from a mile away if it's good lotion, right? That's enough. So don't worry about that. You don't even have to do it. I've got on, these are simple. You see these earrings, they're simple hoops. You know, I know there's some hoopty hoops. If the earrings are touching your shoulders, it's too much. It's too much. Dagny has on a simple hoop as well. This is too much. Anything that makes a lot of noise, anything that's overly dramatic, it's too much. You don't need all of that in an interview for anything, right? Look us in the eye. Look everybody in the eye. Mm-hmm. There's a tendency, we know, Minister, that some people have. You key in on one person, and you look at that one person the whole time. Try not to do that. Mm-hmm. When you are answering the questions, go sweep the room as you are talking. Look at one person, you're making this point, you finish it, then you move, you look to the next person. You look over to the side of the room. Make eye contact with everyone in the room. Talked about the handshake, neither weak nor too strong. Please do not use slang, because I'm going to ask you, what do you mean? We are of an age now.
Oh my goodness.
Don't know it. I don't know it. And this is going to challenge you now to express yourself without using slang. And the issue with slang is it is a casual form of street lingo, right? It's just casual. This is not a casual setting. You are entering a professional setting. Yes. You are asking this committee to give you thousands of dollars. This is a professional request, and we're making a professional request of you that you show up in a professional way. And you're asking a request, you have a request of us that we give you thousands of dollars because you're wonderful. So be wonderful. Bishop used to say, don't treat me casually. I'm your pastor. Don't treat me casually.
Right.
We are a scholarship committee who can give you thousands of dollars. Do not be casual with us. If you are the person, and you may not know this right now, because many people who have verbal tics, what they call verbal crutches, don't necessarily know it.
Right.
You are the one who says, you know what I mean? I met a person, she says this to me all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, every sentence ends with, every other sentence ends with, you know what I'm saying? And at first I didn't catch on. And I said, well, yes, I know what you're saying. And then I realized that's a verbal crutch. She's saying it all the time. And my thought, Dagny, was to say, no, I do not know what you're saying. But I would have been sarcastic, so I didn't say that. So I just got quiet. I just wasn't answering at all. You know what I'm saying? You know, for real. You know what I'm saying? For real. All kinds of verbal crutches that you repeat and repeat to fill in the gaps. Because for some reason, your mouth and your brain are not working together. And so your mouth wants to keep talking, and you don't have to. What I recommended to people who realize now, I say, you know, all the time, when you're about to say it, close your lips. I close your mouth. I let your brain catch up to break you from saying, or to break you from saying, there are many other verbal crutches. Talk to your friends and ask them, is there something I say all the time that drives you crazy? And they will let you know. Because a lot of times, honestly, people
You
do
don't
not
know.
know. They don't know that they do it. We talked about slouching, frowning. It might be a rough day. It might be a rough life. We want you to come in and feel the joy of our expectations. Because we have these expectations because we know that you're able. We know you're capable. And we want to be of service because that's who God has called us to be, to change lives in our lifetime. And we want to elevate your life. And so you're coming into a room of people who are filled with joy at the possibility of you. So there's no reason to frown.
Yeah.
It's a joyful space. No reason to frown. Nobody wants to give $1,000 to an angry somebody.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to give $5,000 to an angry somebody. Okay. And by the same token, don't be too serious. We're not going to have a debate about Israel and Palestine. We're not going to have that conversation. We're not going to have a conversation about the 10-year anniversary of Michael Brown Jr.'s death. We're not going to talk about Ferguson protests unless that's your essay. Then we'll talk about it. We don't have to be too serious. I would also add to this, do not be negative. Don't be negative. Don't be negative about your high school. Don't be negative. My teachers at my school, they wasn't no help. And I'm just glad to be here. No, that's negativity. Do not bring negativity into the room. If there is a difficult situation, you talk solutions only. I had a rough time. I had a teacher that my parents felt was not doing all that they could do. And this is what we did to solve it. We need to hear the solution, not just the problem. So don't bring negativity into the room. I think, and we did talk about body language. And again, I can't say this enough. Listen to the question. And if you don't understand the question or you're thrown off by the question, you can ask, what do you mean by that? Or can you give me more information? Or be honest. I'm a little bit, that question makes me a little nervous, and here's why.
It's good.
That question actually scares me, and here is why. And can I tell you why? I'm nervous to answer that question, and here is why. I don't have a good answer for that question, and here is why. Your honesty will absolutely, your transparency, your vulnerability in the moment will likely get you points. I don't know if this is on here. Do we have after the one of our don'ts?
No, not as post.
But
I did want to add. Oh, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that the after the interview didn't get a lot of thank you cards, but I did get a handful.
True.
So that even before you start this whole process, you run to Target, Walmart, the dollar store, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar right now.
Get a pack of 8
and buy a box of thank you cards. Buy a box of thank you cards. Okay, do that.
I wanted to add this one thing because all of these interview processes were as if you were showing up in person. However, some of the interviews may now be on Zoom. Our interview process is on Zoom. That helps our volunteers to be able to be where they are. So the only things that I would add, all of these things apply, being on time and all of that. If you've not used Zoom before, 10 minutes before the interview is too close for comfort. Do you have a good connection? What is in your background? What is the noise that's happening? If you need to go do it at the library so that you don't have home noise distractions and things, then you would need to do that. So finding an appropriate place to do the Zoom, and then everything else that we talked about applies, making eye contact, being on camera for goodness sakes, and being presentable on camera. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought
I
that
thought
up.
about that while we were talking. Okay, so the application process for ours is to go to the one that's on our website. We have sent our application to the high schools, so they may have them in the guidance offices. Don't bank on that. Just go to our website, print your own copy, come by the church, pick up a copy, go where the application is. Make sure that you are a part of the entire process. Complete the entire application. Use NA where appropriate. Print clearly. Have 2 or 3 professional references. Ours is down to 2 now, but make sure you have those. And if you have multiples, like if you go ahead and get some references that you can use for any scholarship, for any interview, because you would need references for a job application as well. This would be a good time to get multiples of people speaking well of you and of your character and of your stick-to-itiveness and things of that nature. So make sure you just have that at the ready, because you want to be able to not have to wait on someone to get a letter for you. Don't let someone else's tardiness getting the letter back to you, the reference letter back to you, keep you from applying on time. Make sure that your ACT and GPA can be weighted, are available to that committee. If the application says that it has to be a I cannot think of the name of the thing that has your grades on it, transcript. If it has to be an official transcript, that means that it is sealed by the school.
Right.
An official transcript, the word official in a transcript means it was sealed by the school and not opened after the fact by you. That can help. That can hurt you if you just print it and send it with the scholarship, not official. So make sure that you do those things. Okay. Here's some potential interviewer questions. Just wanted to throw these in there. Why did you apply for the scholarship? What do you know about the individual in which the scholarship was named? In particular, memorial scholarships, if they have been given in the name of someone, at a minimum, Google the person to see who they were when they were alive. And most times in the scholarship application, we have given a description of that person as well. So have that information ready. What are your greatest strengths? What do you need to improve upon? And when people ask you what your weaknesses are, they're really not asking for a true weakness there. Just hint, say something to the point of, I'm too hard on myself. You see how that's a weakness, yet not a weakness to the employer or to the person you're talking to. So make sure that you don't go overboard on things you need to improve on when you get that question. What is your planned major in college and why did you select that major? If you're still undecided, decide something. People want to see that you have seen yourself 5 years from now. So even if that's not what you actually pick once you leave and go, try to get something specific there ready. What is the vision for your future? 5 years, 10 years? Be ready with an answer such as that. Carol?
I would add that if you're asked about your weaknesses, this is not the time to say that, I got a problem with anger.
Right.
This is not what they are looking for.
It is not.
And if you do in fact have that, we would pray that you would get help for that, because that's not the life that you want to live. So they are not looking for you to talk about your health challenges, your mental health challenges. That's not what they're looking for you to discuss. Maybe it is that I give myself too much to do. True.
Right.
I give myself too much to do in the given time. I take on too much.
Yes.
I'm too, my friends say I'm too nice to everyone, right? Those are true characteristics. Those are true challenges that people face. So think of yourself in those terms. Okay.
Yes. And then I wanted to also drop some questions that you could ask the interviewers. What is your current profession and why did you choose it? What do you like and most and least about your current profession or job or business? What do you like to do for fun? What do you believe are the key characteristics for success in life? Can I bring additional clarity to the questions you have asked me today? That is a great follow-up question where if you get to the end of the interview and you're not sure if you nailed all of the answers, can I bring additional clarity to the questions that you've asked me today? That is amazing to ask, because if someone is sitting there thinking, man, I wish they had given us more there, they may say that, and then you have that opportunity to do that.
And that simply means I'd like to add to the question that you asked me, Minister Dagny, about XYZ. I'd like to add to that. Or I just thought of something that I really wanted to say to add to the answer about my goals or whatever. So just that easy.
That's amazing. Okay, so that's it. That's our little Sunday school lesson with Carol and I today. We want to get this information out wide to parents, aunties, uncles, those of you who are guardians of seniors. I know it's a busy time, but this is vital that you get this in their hands. We want our young people to have all the tools in the arsenal to get this money. And again, what we have shared will help you not only with our scholarship, but with any scholarship, any job application, we've helped you in several areas today. If you want that, if you want this help. Carol, what do you think? If you got any questions, you can put them in the chat. If you are looking for our scholarship, again, it is thisismynewlife.com. And on our website, we have an area called thisismynewlife.com is our website. And we have an area at the top called resources. And in that area is the current 2024 scholarship application. Again, we have gotten a couple of scholarships, Carol, from overseas, if you can believe it. And so, because we stream, and so people see the scholarships, but our scholarship program at this time is for students in the Metro East. Those are schools here within 10-mile radius of our church. Okay, so thisismynewlife.com, resources, 2024 scholarship. If there's anything we can answer for you, you can email us at 689newlife@gmail.com, and we will get back to you. Carol, thank you so much for texting me last week and saying, you know what we need to do. And I said,
this is I'm going to tell you that this is happening, I guess, because I just was so moved to reach out to Dagny in my semi-retirement, which looks nothing like retirement really, and say, I want us to help young people year round and tutor and help parents year round. And I have this, I'm going to leave you with this, Dagny. So the woman who created Afro Unicorn, which you can see this line now, it's books, it's bedding, it's journals, it's t-shirts. I mean, she has an entire line. And Dagny, she created it for herself, not for children, because she was a businesswoman, serial entrepreneur, Black woman, and her husband. And people kept saying, you're a unicorn, meaning you're a rare person, right? Because she was a Black woman with so many businesses, young woman. And so she created this for herself, and people started then asking for it for children. So then it became a children's product. And the reason that I want to show you this right now is the unicorn is a mythical figure, but the unicorns were never brown. They were never brown.
Oh my!
And they never had an afro.
Oh my goodness! Now you know what? I just realized that every unicorn I've ever seen, usually it's blonde hair.
Blonde hair,
it's definitely
yellow,
flowing hair,
flowing
and
gold.
The unicorn itself is white.
White or pink. They were never brown, and they never had afros. And I bring this up because it is sad still that as African Americans, and this scholarship is not just for us, but it's by us, that we don't see ourselves in every positive situation. We see ourselves in a lot of negative situations, but we don't see ourselves in every positive situation. And far too many Black women can't even see themselves finding a healthy relationship, a decent, loving relationship. They don't see themselves because they've been surrounded by trauma. And so she didn't see herself in the blonde, pink, white unicorn. So she created one. Wow. And we want you to know from New Life that we do see you in every positive, every healthy, every loving, every successful situation. You and your afro and your brown skin, you belong in every healthy, loving, positive, successful situation. And whatever we can do to get you there, first of all, to change your mind, to help you see yourself there, we are going to do it.
Yes.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
You're going to do it. Afro Unicorn, y'all.
I
started
love
to cut
that.
the tag off, but I don't want to cut the tag off because this might mean some money one day. I don't know.
I love that. This has been amazing, Carol. And like we said, you know, get this money. New Life has been doing this for 20 years.
Wow.
From the very beginning of our church being in existence, we had a scholarship program.
Wow.
And just hearing from previous scholarship winners, knowing how whatever amount that was given, what an impact it made, what a number of them have said over the years. One of the things that's pretty consistent is just knowing that my church supported me in this way. And those who weren't members of the church, knowing that a church from the community from which I lived and went to high school is still rooting for me in this aspect of my life. And so that, just as Carol said, we will do whatever is necessary to make sure that we change lives in our lifetime through education. Bishop says it all the time. With Jesus and education, you are
unstoppable. Unstoppable.
So thank you so much, Carol, so much.
Thank you. And by the way, if y'all looking for a church home, come
this
on.
This is mynewlife.com.
Come on.
Come on. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Share,
Good luck to everyone.
Yes. God bless.
God bless you.